Hello people of the internet, it's Amanda, and for today's video we're gonna combine two things that I usually talk about here on my channel to make one video. I'm talking about J-drama reviews and also King and Prince. So if you're new here, I usually do J-drama and J-movie reviews, and I'm also a huge fan of King and Prince, especially Hirano Sho. And today I just figured, you know what, Sho has several movies and projects that I've talked about here on my channel already, but I don't think I have made a video where I talk about his roles so far and what are my thoughts on each of them and how I rank those roles so far. I have several playlists about the movies that he's done. I have several playlists as well when it comes to the dramas that he's done, especially Hana no Chihare, Miman Kesatsu, and Kurosagi. Hana no Chihare is actually the reason why I started making J-drama reviews on this channel in the first place. And so I figured, you know what, this is long overdue since he has several projects already that I've talked about previously, then might as well make this video. But first off, before I talk about my actual ranking of his projects so far, I also asked people on Twitter what they think are their favorite roles of his and all those things. And it comes to no surprise that Ichinose Jiro from Miman Kesatsu came first, because I know a lot of people absolutely loved that role simply because of his hairstyle and also because it was a project with Nakajima Kento from Sexy Zone, and it was just like a really nice, fun combination or like duo drama. And I don't know, like it's not the best drama, I would say, like you would see later on where it ranks in my personal list, but I kind of understand like the hype surrounding that particular role and why it was the one that ranked first when I asked people on Twitter what is their favorite role of Hirano Sho. Now, I also saw that people voted for Izumirin from Wirabu. If you know me, I did a review of that a couple of years ago. Up to this day, it's still I absolutely don't like that movie at all because of the theme. Like, it's so toxic. And even if Hirano Sho is my favorite, I still don't love that movie. And yeah, so basically we'll just be ranking his roles so far, a combination of movies, dramas, and specials. There's only one project of his that I haven't really seen, and it's an NHK drama from 2011 that where before he was part of Johnny's. So I still couldn't find a copy of that anywhere, and I'm excluding that one as well because I don't think that he was top credited for that role. So I'm just gonna be sticking with the 9 roles that he's done so far in terms of formal like dramas, movies, and specials, stuff like that. So yeah, with that said, so let's just get to it. So I actually have my list right here just so I won't forget the rankings, because some of them I really had a hard time, you know, arranging some of these, because generally, aside from like a couple of roles, all of them I absolutely loved I absolutely love his projects, and it's really hard to like rank each of them in a specific order because obviously like they're very diverse in a way, but I tried my hardest to really come up with this particular list. So on number 9, which is the last one, as I mentioned in my intro, I really didn't like Wirabu or We Love, and that's the reason why Izumirin is at the bottom of my list. It's really a film that you would just watch because of the visuals of the cast, in my opinion. The story is about childhood friends, and because the guy, which is Sho's role, Izumirin, didn't want other people to take notice of the girl in the story, was really toxic towards her, and that affected her confidence a lot, and that caused her to be this like really meek, very weak type of character. It's just their dynamic is just so weird, and there's really no good development that happened in the story, and I really didn't like that at all, and that's the reason why Izumirin is at the bottom of the list. I do think that I absolutely love Sho's visuals in that movie, and I think that's the only reason why sometimes I try to rewatch it, but then it just really takes me 10 minutes and it really still couldn't stand the film. So that is like my least rewatched project of his up to this day, and I just really don't like that role a lot. I like the making of that movie, and it was so fun to watch, but the film itself is just so intolerable for me, and that's why it's at the bottom of my list. Now, at number 8, so this one, I wanted to include this, even if technically, like, he's still at the supporting cast in terms of the crediting for this one, and it's not really like a major role considering that this is an ensemble Johnny's movie. And I think the reason for this is just to promote the Kansai Juniors at the time. I'm talking about Ninja ni Sanjo Mirai no Tatakai, where he played Hoji. The story is about like this hidden history about ninjas in Japan and all those things. It's really comedic, a little bit slapstick in some parts, but it became one of my comfort movies. Like, I found it was really hard to look for this movie, but he was really young at the time. I think this was 2014, so he was around 16 turning 17 when this film happened, and he was with, like, you know, again, as I mentioned, other Kansai Juniors or Kansai talents of Johnny's at the time, and it was just so interesting because, again, it's a comedy about, you know, these ninjas trying to look for work and got themselves into some kind of trouble. But I don't know, like, it's just an easy breezy type of film, and yeah, again, as I mentioned, it's one of those non-serious roles. I really like it, and it's just fun to watch, but again, because it's just a minor role, I think Sho did okay with the role that he's given. I think even then as well, like, he has a knack for acting, even if this is, again, not so serious acting, but he has a knack for it, and it showed really well in this project because, I don't know, like, it's just nice and fun, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like someone acting awkwardly in front of the camera, and yeah, but still not that major in terms of acting, so that's why it's number 8 on my list. Number 7, this is quite hard for me because when this role was announced, I was really happy about it, but because, like, looking at all of Sho's projects so far, I realized later on that this goes a little bit lower on my list, which is at number 7. I'm talking about Kiyama Sensei from the 24-hour TV drama special Seito ga Jinsei wo Yari Suru Gakko. I did a review of this as well, which I'll be putting links to down in the description below. This one, he played a teacher, which is quite different from his past roles, and it was really promising, considering that, you know, it was a combination of him doing Kaguya-sama and all of those things during that same year. But I do think that as much as, you know, it was a really emotional role, and there's a lot of, like, layers to the role as well. Just looking at the bigger scale of things, it's just like it wasn't as, like, the range of the acting for this one isn't that broad. Like, there are very emotional scenes in this one, there are comedic scenes and stuff like that, but I do feel like, you know, he still didn't embody that role of a teacher. I'm not sure if it's because the cast who was also, like, included in it also has a young feel. So I understand, like, there's this dynamic of, you know, he's a young, fresh teacher and all these things, but it was still kind of, like, hard to disassociate him from a student role. And because of, like, the more, I don't know, like, hot-blooded type of character that he was playing in this one, it lacked a little bit of sternness to separate him from the other characters in the narrative, and to also pose him as the teacher character that he was playing in this particular role. And as much as I love just the project in general and him as Kiyama Sensei, I think that's why, even if I love this role and I love that he got to play this role, it's still a little bit lower as compared to, like, the other roles that he's done that I'm going to be talking about later. So yeah. Number 6 on my list is Onise Taiga from Honey. Now, Honey is a very typical shoujo plot. There's this, guy who's this bad boy character, and then there's this very meek, cute type of female lead, and all of those things. But then it turns out that the bad boy isn't exactly a bad boy. Like, he has things that he's just going through because of all those things, but it's a real separation from his character from Wirabu, which is just a very toxic character. For this one, Honey is just a very nice, sweet type of story. I also did a review on this one a couple of years back. And I do feel like even if it's a stereotypical shoujo type of character, Sho gave a little bit more dimension in terms of this portrayal for Anisa Taiga. I love the chemistry between him and Taira Yuna. And I think until up to this day, like, he has this what do you call this? Like friend energy with most of his female leads. But for Taira Yuna and him, I like their chemistry on screen, and that's the reason why I think this film worked, is because, again, the romance narrative and their chemistry. So I really like that a lot. It's just a very simple narrative, but I do feel like he played the character really well in terms of giving the character this, like, it's not more on the comedic side. Like, it's more of just this character going through something and has a kinder side to him. So it's not like two extremes being poured into one, and that's a reason why I like this role a lot. And it's just very simple. Again, the narrative is very straightforward and all of these things, and that's a reason why I just enjoy this role of his and this project in general. So yeah. Number 5 on my list, and this one, I think it could have ranked a little bit higher than my number 4, if only, like, I didn't have mixed feelings about it when the sequel was announced, which I'm happy now that the sequel happened, because it went on a more serious route. I'm talking about Kaguya-sama Love is War live action movie with Hashimoto Kana. I love Sho and Kana's chemistry in the movie and just them promoting this entire thing. I don't know. So that's the reason why this is a little bit up my list. But Shirogane, it's kind of like a cringy character, because obviously Kai Hayato's style when it comes to creating live-action adaptations is very close to the source material. So this one, very slapstick. There's a lot of exaggerations. Again, people who... I see that a lot of people on reviews for this movie, for both movies rather, find it rather cringy. And I kind of like get that. However, I'm not really that particular when it comes to these types of genres. I actually enjoy them a lot. And with Kaguya-sama, it's funny, it has some edge, and I just really like it in general because it's fun. But I think the reason why this is higher up my list is because around this time I got more active in terms of reading Sho's interviews when it comes to his preparations for the roles and all of these things. And I think this affected my perception of the character, especially for the second movie, because he was really working so hard to make the role consistent from the first installment of the film. But then at the same time, he was also... like he had for a role that is an anime adaptation of something, and also that is very comedic and stuff like that, he poured a lot of effort into making sure that the character is consistent and also shows a little bit of dimension and maturity in line with what he's portraying. And I think that's a reason why I like this role a lot, generally because, again, of the work that went into it behind the scenes. But just in general, I think if I'm just considering it and like overall, not knowing all these things and just looking at it in the surface level, this probably would have ranked lower. But again, I think I absolutely like this one because chemistry with the cast is good. A second film was definitely a lot more, like, it covered the arcs that I was really happy in. And I do think that another reason why I like it is because There's a lot of Shirogane's character that is very similar to Sho, even if he says that they're not really alike in most ways. And I think that's also one of the reasons why my biased perception of it, affected how much I was liking the character. So, yeah. Moving on to number 4. My number 4 is Ichinose Jiro, which a lot of people loved. And again, as I mentioned earlier, topped the list when I did my poll. So Ichinose Jiro from Miman Kisatsu. The reason why this is just number 4 on my list is because the role is different for Sho, and I'm really, really happy for him. I think the episode that was centered around his character, he acted it really well, and he performed exceptionally well in that particular episode. It's just that it wasn't different from the other roles that he's explored before, where it's this kind of like airhead character who's all brawn and no brain type of thing. The more emotional side to, like all of these things. I feel like it wasn't stretching his acting abilities a lot. Like it was able to help him explore this different genre, but acting wise it wasn't giving enough challenge to really fully push him to his acting potential. But overall, like, I absolutely love this project. I have some issues when it comes to the plot and the writing in the later episodes. I have an entire playlist talking about this particular drama. But just in general, like, I think in terms of what I wanted for Sho to have in terms of, his acting and stuff like that, Ichinose Jiro Miman Kisatsu is just at number 4 because of that reason. Like, it was an okay project, but it wasn't pushing him into his full potential. It still evokes this kind of like ikemen, cutesy type of adorable type of character, which I feel like he could have gone beyond if it was like a different type of crime drama, but this is a more of like a comedy police drama rather than something that's a little bit more serious in nature. And I feel like just that genre difference alone could have made a difference in terms of the narrative, the plot, everything like that. And that's the reason why it's just at number 4. Number 3 is Kurata Mizuki from Shark. This one, I couldn't get enough of this drama. Whenever I want to just rewatch something that's familiar, I tune this on. This is his first official lead role in a drama, though still not like an official one, because it's still an ensemble drama with fellow Johnny's talents, and I do feel like because of that, it still gives that blanket of comfort in a way. So if we're talking about first official lead role, outside of that, it would be Hana no Chihare. But if it's like the first official lead where he's like the main character in the story, this is that Shark. This is 2014, and to think that it's like his first drama in a way where he's a main character, and of course like he's still playing with people or talents from the same agency, but still at the same time like it has a serious narrative, serious plot, and all of those things, very different from Ninjani. He did a really good job in this one acting wise, even if I look back at it now, like knowing more about his growth as an actor, as an idol. I do feel like given that it's like a first acting drama project, he did really, really well in this one. Like if I watch it and not knowing that, it was his first project at a time, or I don't know him, I would think that he's been acting for quite some time, because I do feel like he just meshed into the character so naturally. This was when I discovered that his voice was really, really good as well, because he sang a cappella in one of the earlier episodes of the drama. And the soundtrack of this one, really, really good. But apart from that, again, I absolutely love this role because I do feel like Sho really showed potential as an actor even early on with this particular project. And like he captured the annoying sides of Mizuki, the arrogant sides of the character, the emotional and vulnerable sides of the character, and like he just played the role really, really well. And I'm still in awe thinking about, you know, the work that he did in Shark, because again, like he did so well in that one, considering that again it's like his first formal main character role. And yeah, and that's the reason why it's third on my list. Now for my top two and top one, this has been totally difficult because these two characters I absolutely love. One of them I've talked about for years. I have several videos about, and the other, I just absolutely am really, really happy for Sho that he got that role, because it really showed his potential as an actor. These two projects I feel like is so special to me as a fan of Hirano Sho, and it's just so hard to choose which one would go in second place and which one would go in first place, because I absolutely love these characters so much and it's just so hard to pick. But I've made my decision, and for my top two, I went with, it's kind of heartbreaking to say this, but I went with Kaguragi Haruto from Hana no Chihare. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, or if you just take a good look at my channel, I love Kaguragi Haruto. I love Hana no Chihare. Outside of Hirano Sho, I absolutely just love what they did with the character, because it's so unconventional, it's so fresh. Like this is a male lead that is quite different from the other tropes that I've seen before. And it's also like he's the second lead of his own story. I made extensive videos about why I think Kaguragi Haruto is a really, really great character just as is. And it's really outside of just a portrayal of Sho, but just the writing and the creation of the character, and also just Hana no Chihara in general. I love that. I love that drama a lot, and it's definitely like it's my ultimate favorite. And so saying that it's just at my top two, it's kind of like painful for me. Like when I was deciding which one would go at the top one and top two, it's like a really difficult decision for me. But I put Haruto second because when I watch it, when I look back at it now, like similar to Shark, you kind of like see that Sho can blend in with like actual actors, you know, and he's really good in terms of acting and stuff like that. But because it was so earlier on into his career, and again, as I mentioned, if Shark is like his first official drama lead role, but it's still within the safe bubble of being with Johnny's talents, Hana no Chihara is his first official role where he was playing along a lot more seasoned actors around his age. And so it's like his first official main lead role outside of the comfort bubble. But, you know, at first watch, like when I first saw him in that drama, not knowing anything, I didn't know that he was from Johnny's. I was from my hiatus back then, from all these things, and I wasn't aware that he was a new actor at the time. I immediately fell in love with the character because he played it in a very believable and relatable and kind of like natural kind of way, and I absolutely loved that. But you know, whenever I rewatch Hana no Chihara, there are some instances when I figured that, you know what, Sho's acting has improved so much since then. It's because there are some moments there where he kind of slips out of character and all those things. Because now I think I know him more as an idol and all these things. So some nuances in his acting in Hana no Chihara still kind of like reflects him outside of being an actor. You know, like he still did a really good job back then, and that's the reason why. But the reason why it's just a number two is because my number one is his recent role as Kurosaki Koshiro from Kurosagi. Now, this one, again, when this was rumored, I think a year before it was actually announced, I had mixed feelings about it because remakes are quite tricky. People have expectations, especially since the previous one, you know, it was it has a huge fan base of its own, and all of these things. Like, you know, it's kind of like hard playing with a remake. But I think Sho created a new version of this character and portrayed a new version of this character that really pushed him and his potential as an actor, which I've been waiting for ever since I saw him in his previous projects. Like, this was a role that I was waiting for him to play. Something that was challenging, something that showed his versatility and his skill, and something that would make other people acknowledge his acting abilities as much as I do. Because again, I think sim actors, they're not as good, but because they're given a lot of good roles and a lot of good scripts, people perceive them as really good actors. And I'm not saying that this applies for everyone, but I do feel like a huge perception of how you are and who you are as an actor in the industry also falls on the projects that you take. And Sho has the potential and the acting ability. It's just that given the other roles that I've mentioned previously, it's like he was stuck in this certain bubble for so long about, you know, shoujo roles or something that's just with a hint of comedy in it. And I do feel like he could do something more. And I think Kurosagi became an avenue for that. I saw a lot of people who are outside of being a fan of Kimpuri or Johnny's or anything like that, who tuned into the drama and actually appreciated Sho's portrayal of it, and really saw him as an actor and not just someone who was picked for the role because of several other reasons. And that's the reason why I absolutely love it, is because I do think that, and in terms of writing, again, TBS, definitely the writing for this one, the narrative, everything, and the co-stars, like the way Sho had his dynamic with his co-stars in this one, absolutely love it. And I think that's a reason why, as much as it pains me, because Kaguragi Haruto and Hana Chihare, all-time favorite, absolutely love it. But in terms of just talking about Sho's roles in general and objectively, I do feel like Kurosagi is his best work yet. And I really hope something like a miracle happens and that more roles like this land into his future, even with, you know, the upcoming events happening of him leaving Johnny's and also King and Prince. But I do think that this like Kurosagi was his best work so far. And I'm really glad that he was able to do the role and just show that he has that potential as an actor. And that's the reason why this is at my top 1. So, yeah. Now, with that said, so as usual, I think the reason why I made this video is because of the different things that are currently, you know, happening. There's a little bit of uncertainty as to what's going to happen to his career along with Jinguji and Kishi, since they're leaving Johnny's. This year, they're also leaving their groups, and Johnny's has this like weird way when it comes to talents leaving their agency. So all these uncertainty makes me think about, you know, all these other possibilities, especially given how much Kurosagi was raved about last December and what that means for Sho's acting career probably in the future. Just got me thinking all of these things. Yeah, so that's why I made this video. Tell me down in the comments below, what are your thoughts? Have you seen any of these projects? What are your thoughts about Sho's role? What roles would you like to see him in the future, if ever? Yeah, as usual, everything, comments. Yes, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye!